Dove says all he does is build stuff, fix things, and make sure the sun doesn't ruin the experiments. Says it wouldn't take him too long to build something. Then he can get us out of there. And again, Dove says that yesterday somebody took a picture of the black hole. Dogbreath, published by Trespasser, comes in 3 different cover colors, and also with the track list that you can listen while you're watching the book. It's a deep journey inside the heat of a city, the young inhabitants, through the personal point of view of the photographer. Welcome to Matthew Genitempo. I'm super happy to have you here in this episode number 7 on small photo book cult.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I was waiting for quite a lot to have this chat with you. And I have a question that it's in my mind for quite a long time.
Sure.
Who is Dove?
So Dove was one of the boys that I met, and there was nothing super remarkable about him when I first met him. He was walking down an alley, and he was kind of scavenging for old stereos and other equipment that had been tossed in alleyways because he would harvest the metal inside for money. And he let me follow him around for a little bit, and we had made a few pictures. And I can go into it later about the making of the portraits and stuff. But we made him a few pictures, and we hung out for a little while. And I got his phone number, and I texted him the next day, and he never responded because I thought maybe I could go back and look for metal and stuff with him the next day. And a week later, I received a phone call from an unknown number, and it was actually Dove's aunt. And she had informed me that Dove he had laid down on some tracks and taken his own life. And she said that I was the last person that was trying to contact him in his phone, and thought that I should know. So when that happened, I was lucky enough when Dove and I were speaking with each other. I thought he was interesting enough that I was recording the conversation with my phone. So I transcribed all of I transcribed our conversation over, and I had put all of that aside. And I just continued to make the project. I had no intentions that the words would come into the book. Later on, when I was sequencing everything, I was kind of going back through, everything and kind of taking stock of all of my time in Tucson, and just tried to, had the hunch that maybe the words could make it in there, and they did. They were kind of the last piece that made it in, and they, the Dove's voice kind of goes through the entire book, and people can kind of connect different characters to Dove's words. You kind of don't know which one of the boys in the book is Dove. He's kind of, I don't want to ruin anyone's experience of it in any way, or step on it in any way. But I would hope that people can kind of connect, Dove to any one of the boys in the book. In the original edit of the book, the story was much more explicit. I think I had mentioned at the end the story of Dove, and when I was showing the early maquettes to friends, they had encouraged me to take it out, kind of close things off, kind of close the story off in a lot of ways. So I took it out, and it allows the reading to be, much more open.
I'm sorry that we start with this question because it's
okay.
It's quite tough. Like I didn't expect it. I didn't read it anywhere. So.
No, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known. But it's funny because I I did another interview, and that was the first question that was asked, which it's always the heaviest, you know.
Yeah, but also because I think it's a really important line in the book because it makes another layer that, of course, like you can connect to all the images, and it makes some kind of it prepare a kind of imaginary world in some way, and I think it's
Right.
one of the most beautiful thing of this book. Of course, also the pictures we are speaking about a photo book, but that part it really hit me a lot.
Oh, thank you. Well, it was funny. One of the when I was making the pictures, when you make pictures of people, you have to tell them what you're making pictures for. And so I met this kid Addison, and he was asking what the project was about. And so I would always tell people that the project was about Tucson, the people of Tucson, and suburban sprawl, and like the sprawling suburbs of Tucson. And this kid Addison said, "Oh, it's like that book, The Quick and the Dead by Joy Williams, which I had never heard of before. I'd never heard of Joy Williams at the time. So I immediately picked the book up the next day, and the book follows these three characters through Tucson, and the book deviates a lot. It deviates to people that are not connected with these three characters, and kind of goes back and forth. And that book actually helped me kind of find form for Dogbreath, because that's kind of what I wanted Dove's words to do. I wanted them to kind of, float through the book, and you kind of deviate away from Dove, and you might meet other people, and you might go to other places, but it always kind of circles back and comes back to Dove, and things kind of accumulate as the story goes on.
Yeah, and why? Like, what pushed you to start this project? What was the needs that you have that make you starting doing this project?
I was well, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife Ada, she was in school in Tucson, and I was living in Marfa at the time, so I was kind of splitting my time between Marfa and Tucson. And while she was in class, I was just there by myself, kind of killing time. So I had decided to try to make some pictures in Tucson. And so while I was driving around, I saw a lot of just stray youth walking the streets, and it just became a genuine interest. I spent a lot of time in my young life just kind of walking around, and just spent a lot of time outside. And Tucson's such a hot place, so it was just peculiar to see people, or just kids walking around in this crazy heat. So yeah, that was just just that interest in teens walking around. I didn't really overthink it too much. I just kind of followed it, and that's kind of how a lot of my projects start. I don't have a big plan or a project in mind. I just kind of place myself somewhere, and just kind of follow whatever kind of pulls me in.
Of course, it's something that a lot of people probably ask to you, but you start using this TV screen that it takes me really in my when I was young, like the television screen, and this kind of images that it's like it's hard to understand what it is. Some
Right.
disturbs in the line that don't exist anymore, probably because right now there is not the antennas anymore, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if some of the young people in the book have ever watched a VHS tape, or have experienced screens like this before. But yeah, the video stills kind of started in a funny way. I had originally started going to punk shows in Tucson and making pictures in punk shows, and I thought that that would be kind of something that you'd return to, and those pictures never really worked out. And I started this project, I think 2018 or 2019. Then COVID happened, and everything stopped, including the punk shows. So my wife and I were during like the first like month of COVID, we were kind of stuck in her small house in Tucson, and we went to a video store. There was like I think it's called Casa Video. It was like a really cool video store, and they had a huge VHS section. So I just rented a bunch of VHS tapes that I watched when I was younger, like concerts and punk shows and stuff like that, and movies. And, for no reason at all, I just started photographing the screens. I just, had a hunch that maybe they could tie in. Yeah, and it just worked. I didn't overthink it. It just, it felt right next to the pictures. Yeah, I'd like to think that the video stills are kind of a way of tying, my own youth in with the pictures of the youth of today. But yeah, music and movies used to be such a larger part of our identities when we were younger, at least it kind of felt that way, because they seemed a lot more scarce. When you found something that really resonated with you, it really meant something. And if somebody burned you a CD or let you borrow a VHS or something like that, it was like someone was giving a piece of themselves over to you. And so I guess these tape pictures, or these stills, from shows and from skate videos and stuff that I watched as a kid, it's kind of me giving over a piece of myself.
Yeah, but I also think that using this kind of images add another layer, like we have the text, the dove, that is one layer, your pictures, that is another one, and these pictures of screens, that is a third layer that I don't know how to say that, but it's like put the project in a really strange timeline.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, there's a little bit of nostalgia in the work, and I think, I don't think it was like a conscious effort to make the timeline be kind of this obtuse thing, but it is in the book, which I guess I'm happy about. I'm glad that the pictures and that the video stills kind of throw it into this not so evident. These are the first two clear pictures in the book. The text starts off with Dove, talking about a meteor created the neighborhood, and I just loved when Dove said that, and I don't know if it was true or not where we were at the time. But then you go to the next picture, and it's kind of like the meteor kind of coming down. I just love that intro. It was so when I was going through all the pictures and stuff, it would just seem like it came together so well. Like I didn't even really have to try for that. But yeah, then you get to the clearer pictures, and yeah, I don't know. It just, to me, it flowed so seamlessly to these two, and maybe it's a little bit more abrupt for some people, but made a lot of sense for me. I have this kind of X theme that runs through the whole book. I don't know if you picked up on that at all, but there are kind of X's hidden all over the book. Mm-hmm. Which the one on the left is it's pretty easy to see, and I guess it kind of echoes on the right a little bit with the two little kind of twigs crossing right above his hairline.
It's a really powerful intro for this book. And then you turn the page and maybe you are expecting something more clear, but it's not. It's beautiful, this aerial view of probably like it's not the same place, or it's that place.
No, it's not. That's I think this is a video. I think this is a frame from the movie SLC Punk, if I'm not mistaken. If you go back one, the last line that Dove says is take me down in the tunnels where the Tucson pagans go. Tucson pagan was the actual working title the entire time. I thought that was going to be the title of the book, but it changed to Dogbreath about halfway through, I think.
Why Dogbreath?
During COVID, I was kind of going back through and listening to a lot of the music that kind of made me when I was younger, and just kind of filling in a lot of the band, a lot of the spaces that I missed, and kind of revisiting a lot of the things that I missed. And I was reading the biography of the Replacements, and I always loved the Replacements. I don't know if you've listened to them before.
Yeah.
But they have this song called this is called "Bastards of Young." Is that what it's called? Yeah, I might be totally. But anyway, the chorus is "We are the sons of no one, bastards of young," and that to me was kind of this kind of line that was playing in my head the entire time I was making this. So when I was reading their biography, their original band name was called Dogbreath. And I just love that. So I hung on to that for a little while. And then I was reading this Barbara Kingsolver book called Demon Copperhead, which is also about youth, stray youth. And she describes this one particular part of summer and this one particular heat. She says she calls it the dog breath of summer. So I was like, oh man, wow, this word keeps coming up. And then I just was kind of thinking about all of the, we get later on to these pictures of kids in the mosh pit, and they're swirling around, and I could just kind of, feel the breath and the sweat.
Is it
kind of in some of these pictures? They're way at the end. You have to go way to the end, but we can make our way there later if you don't want to scroll all the way to the end.
Oh, it's we will arrive there.
Okay, yeah.
It's a bit too far right now. Yeah, but it's exactly what I thought, that it was really it matched really good with this feeling of I don't know, that kind of days when you are a bit lost for the heat. You just walk around.
Tucson gets just ridiculously hot there. I mean, I grew up and spent my entire life in Texas, and endured 40 summers so far, and I've never experienced anything like Arizona heat. It's just a different brand.
I can imagine also, like right here in Italy, it's not easy to be honest, especially in the last years. But I don't remember, Matthew, if you remember that, probably not. But the first time that I wrote you a really weird message for me, because normally I'm not someone really into equipments of photographers. Like, I don't care so much. But in your case, it was a bit like I was not able to understand what. I thought that you were shooting in medium format, but in some way I can feel that it was not medium format. So I had to wrote you a really stupid question that normally I hate to do. So I wrote you like, this project, and it was Jasper, the project, was it in medium format? And you reply me, no, it's large format. And for me, it was really surprising, because the way you take pictures, I don't know, like it's more for a medium format in some way, because you have this way to take portraits that seems something that you can. They are the same feeling that you have with a small camera.
No, I got you. I try to move as quickly as possible with the view camera. That is something that I picked up while I was making Jasper. I used to be much more rigid and take 15, 20 minutes to get everything perfectly lined up and then wait for the light to be exactly right. And then, click the shutter exactly when everything was all perfect. And it just didn't work for me. I stopped right before I shot for, a long time before I started making Jasper. Large format that way, very slow and considered, and then I threw all that out for a little bit and just shot medium format black and white and moved very quickly with that. And then so when I started making Jasper, I went back to large format and had kind of told myself that I was going to move as quickly as I could and just not overthink things and try to shoot like I was shooting medium format, but with the 4x5. And I think that I've gotten even quicker from Jasper to Dogbreath. Like when I go back and I look at a lot of the Jasper work, it feels very rigid and stiff to me as compared to Dogbreath.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not, because I done that question to you because of that, so it wasn't so rigid. But of course, like in Dogbreath, it's like you take this approach and you develop it more. And like to me, it's really it's really curious, because when I watch your pictures, I can see a lot of like, let's say, tradition behind you from the like, the big photographers, the American school. But I also feel there is a lot of yourself and a lot of innovation, a lot of experimental things that you are trying to put inside your work. And
oh, cool! Thanks. That's cool to hear. Well, I think I was looking at a lot of, especially during Jasper, I was trying to understand how, people like Andrea Modica, like you look at Treadwell, and are you familiar with that book?
Yeah, no, not with the book, with the work,
with their pictures. Yeah, I mean, there's a way that she uses her tools that just feel so aligned with I don't know, some sort of emotional resonance or something that's occurring inside of her. But like, I don't know, it's difficult to explain. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of fascinated how she got the pictures that she got. So maybe Jasper was me kind of doing my own spin on that, or trying to use the camera in the way that I thought she might. Same with Judith Joy Ross. Like Judith Joy Ross was a huge influence for this work. Not necessarily her photographs themselves. I mean, but there was a quote that I read. Where is it? I thought I had it around here somewhere. There's a quote that I read by Judith Joy Ross that really helped me a lot with this. You mind if I read this quote really quick?
No, I heard it in other parts, but I love you to read it again. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it was. Well, let me read it and then we can talk about it. I have a large, beautiful wooden camera. I'm a quick talker. I can convince people in a few seconds because I'm sincerely interested in them. I'm more interested in capturing what I see in them. It's not that I want to be their friend. It's that I see their life and it's amazing, and I want to put it in an image. It's a short but deep connection. I go back to being alone, but have one more lightning bug in a bottle, one more piece of evidence as to who we are. I mean, it's totally beautiful the way that she said that. But, more importantly, every once in a while, something happens in my life, like this space opens up, and it gives me a little bit of an idea, or it's almost like watching a master work or something, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool. Like if they can do it that way, then I can do it that way. So I approached the portraits in this project in that way. I with Jasper, I was spending hours to days at a time with people and getting portraits exactly how I wanted them. And with this, I wouldn't let myself spend more than 30 minutes to an hour with someone, and then I would move on. But I would, make portraits very quickly, and then just continue on.
But also, for example, this one, it's a weird portrait to start with. How it happens, these pictures, it's so weird. Like the face is cut in half. And at the same time, it has probably much power in this way.
Yeah, and that one's, I mean, a lot of there's so many pictures in this to where I set the camera up and the discovery happened immediately. I wasn't searching for anything really like in the ground glass too much. I mean, I remember this portrait in particular because we had gone down into like I mentioned earlier, the tunnels that are underneath Tucson, and we were kind of coming out. So this photograph's actually in a ditch, and he had been jumped. Someone had jumped him the night before, and so that's why he has that mark on his face, that cut on his head. And so I was like, oh, we'll just hang out right here. And then when I got under the dark cloth, I mean, it was already framed kind of like this. So all I had to do was just focus on what I wanted to, and I clicked the shutter, and then we took 5-10 other portraits that are totally different from this, but just didn't overthink things. Just kept it quick.
I go back 1 second because I want to ask you that why you decide to use the large format if you are taking these kind of pictures that need you to be quick. I
don't know. Just like the way that it looks. I like all the detail, and it's financially it's not the best decision. But I mean, I shot the project before this, Mother of Dogs, is all medium format. That one's, I was just going on evening walks with my wife, so I just brought along a little camera for that one. But you just get so much detail. I mean, with this one in particular, I mean, this is in an alleyway, like over somebody's fence. I'm like, I think I set up my camera on like one of those like, I don't know if you guys have them in Italy, but these like big green electrical boxes. It's just funny because like a lot of kids hang around them when they're young. They hide behind them when you're playing like flashlight tag or something like that. But I'm pretty sure for this one, I was on top of one of those things. And I was initially loved the car on the left because it was seemingly floating in the air, kind of like Repo Man or something when the car starts floating, which was a movie that I watched and photographed the screens for this too. But
I love the fact that he's tried to, I don't know, in some way with this part of his body, he's tried to go out of something, like just try to feel how is it, outside that fence. And like to me, it's one of the pictures that I like most. Yeah,
I always connected this one with the with that image we were just talking about, because it's almost like the dog version of the like the first boy. He's got his eyes closed and he's kind of tilted forward a little bit. And I always like to imagine that. I mean, this is just me getting in my own head about stuff, but I always like to imagine that the mark on his head is from the chain link fence that the dog is pushing his head against in the other photograph.
Yeah, I can see it. In some way there, in all the project, probably there is this feeling of be stuck in some way in this place that maybe is not true, but that feeling, and it's beautiful because in this one, I can feel this guy like dreaming to be somewhere else in some way. and then you see this dog try to touch another space, like that of course cannot reach because there is a fence.
Right. Yeah.
And like, to me, it's really poetic. Can speaks a lot about a place, or also like an imaginary place in some way, like the place that I'm watching as a viewer. What happened if the dog was not in this position? If the dog was just, I don't know, standing and watching you? It's like it.
I don't think it would work.
No, yeah, it could be.
I mean, it might be I think it would be a totally different photograph. This was one of the later photographs that I made. I think after a few months in Tucson during COVID, Ada just moved to Marfa with me, and I would make trips back to Tucson to finish up the project. And I remember I went for 3 or 4 days and made a bunch of photographs and came back, and none of them worked except for this one. But it made the trip worth it, because you get one good photograph is
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's difficult. Or good photographs are tough to come by.
How much do you shoot normally? Like, there are a lot of pictures that you like throw away because they doesn't work.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd say that like 99% of what I take pictures of, they just don't work. I mean, a lot of my work is reliant on luck and chance. So there are a lot that just don't work. And it's not that they're bad pictures. I mean, there's some they're just not the ones that I need,
Yeah, of course. Matthew, what is this? What is this white? It's I try to understand
spray paint.
Yeah, because
I think it's spray paint. I was on the way, if I remember correctly, I think I was going to pick up groceries or something. And I saw it, and I turned back around and went home and got my 4x5. And because the sun was just blasting against, I think it was silver. I want to say it was silver spray paint, and that's why it's like reflecting so crazily. And maybe they were Halloween decorations or something.
Yeah.
They read like tombstones, but they kind of go from just like regular pieces of plywood into like something that is definitely like tombstones. But I also love the gallows behind the fence. So I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know if they were preparing something for Halloween or something, but yeah, it was just
I thought it was a cemetery.
Yeah, it's not a cemetery. It was in the neighborhood. It was right around the corner from where we lived at the time. And this one to me really shows the heat in Tucson. Like, you can really feel the sun in this one, even though it's, I want to say the sun was kind of on its way down in this one, because it's shining so hard against the wood. But yeah, this one, the light, you get to feel the intensity of the light in this one.
So it's probably this one a face.
Yeah, that's so weird. I'm glad you picked up on that. It's like a strange skull or something. I don't know if it was intentional. I don't think it was an intentional face.
It's like, what I really like about this picture is that can be a lot of things.
It's totally weird. Yeah, I have no clue. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I picked up on it when I saw it. I mean, I don't remember seeing it. And the picture was made so quickly too. I just remember turning around, going and getting the 4x5, taking 1 or 2 frames, and then going to the store afterwards. This is the first kind of more formal portrait you get to in the book. It's London. There's actually an X hidden here too. It's under the sole of his shoe. There's an X on it. It's kind of hard to see, but
What this X represents to you? Like, why?
I don't know. I mean, it's there's kind of the idea of Dove searching for gold. He's searching for gold the whole time, and X marks the spot. But then there's also like these kids are kind of like they're kind of castaways in a sense. So they're kind of X'd out. I don't know. There's a lot of, I'll let people interpret how they want to, but yeah, this kind of unintentional. I wasn't looking for X's when I was making this. When I was going through all the pictures, I just kept finding them.
Like I really love the way his body is on that piece of wood. His face.
I mean, that's one of those things. I feel like I couldn't position somebody that way, even if I wanted to. He was riding around in one of those Razor scooters, and I made a lot of these photographs just walking around with a 4x5, which I don't recommend. But I think he was curious about what I was doing, and I was curious about him. And he's, oh, there's this downed tree over here. Let's go do it over there. And then he just sat down and immediately just sat down like that. I think this is like, I want to say I made 2 or 3 of him in this frame, but him just sitting down in this position was the one that worked immediately. So yeah, I didn't have to work too hard for this one.
Yeah, it's really beautiful when it happens. But like I said, it's something that happened quite a lot with you. So
I wish it happened this easy every time. It would make my life a lot easier.
How do you approach these guys that you have in this book? How was the relation between you and these people?
Well, I get asked a lot, was it easier to ask the people in Jasper for portraits, or was it easier to ask the youth in Dogbreath? And it was way easier to ask the people in Jasper. I felt like I was constantly having to convince people that what I was doing was cool. I was like, I swear this is going to be a cool project. It's like kids, they just seem so indifferent to what I was doing. I mean, London, this kid in particular was very enthusiastic and was really cool. But there were some people that were just, yeah, sure, whatever. So it was, and maybe it was me kind of getting in my own head. And also kind of coming to terms with the fact that I'm not young anymore and trying to convince people that I'm cool. But yeah. I mean, for this, I spent a lot of time, there are a lot of portraits in the book that I made where I was driving around. There are some portraits that I made where I would go run. I would run every morning in Tucson, and sometimes I would see somebody that I thought looked interesting, and I would exchange numbers with them and tell them who I was, and we'd meet up later. But a good chunk of these photographs were made while I was walking with the 4x5, and that was something that was new that I did that I had never done before, which was put my camera on my back and attempt to just walk down the street and meet people, which it was a pain in the ass, but I met a lot of people that were curious about what I was doing because I was walking around with a 4x5, or just I wouldn't have met them any other way if I just wasn't on foot. So
yeah, of course. And like meanwhile you speak, I try to go through the book, but it's impossible because I just turned this page and it happened one that is another pictures that I want to speak about.
This is another kind of recurring theme in the book, is these views where you're just looking directly up at the kind of plant and tree life in Tucson. One of the kids that I photographed called Tucson Los Angeles after the apocalypse, and I thought about that a lot. And same person said that Tucson is all fucked up looking, and but if you stop and you look up, it's kind of beautiful, which was true. So I found myself kind of looking up a lot, just kind of at, there's a bunch of, Tucson's a very beautiful place, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of beautiful areas, but there's some areas that are not so hot. And but the one thing that is consistent throughout the entire place is that the plant life is really beautiful there. And even if you're in a spot that's not so beautiful, if you look up, you get to see all this just various different types of trees and cactus and stuff. So I found myself doing that a lot. So yeah, what that kid said about it, just looking up and kind of taking a break from the real world, that kind of stuck with me. So every few pages, you get hit with these views that are just kind of looking down from the ground up.
Yeah, but the fact is that you didn't take a picture of this tree in a formal way, let's say. You decide to have some movement in this picture, and this make me think that this picture is in some way connected to the one of the screen. Of course, it's not. It's something completely different. But in some way, there is this this texture that is not super easy to read in some way. And it's a beautiful match with the other one of the screen, because it's completely the opposite. You are portrayed a tree that is something alive and in open air, and in the other side there is a screen that is not alive at all and cold. And
yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that was intentional, but it only kind of revealed itself whenever I was sequencing the work. Because I'm glad you made that connection. Because I do connect this with the end sheets in the book. The end sheets are the ones, the screen that looks really kind of cosmic. Some people have thought it was like dust getting kicked up, but yeah, it kind of came together at the end. But I'm glad you made that connection.
I don't know. Like, to me, it's like it's a kind of box that contains the stories. You have these trees and the screens and something happening in between.
Yeah. Did you? I don't know if you had the chance to listen to. There's an audio component with the book
No.
we had made. So I had I can send it to you because it kind of widens the work a little bit,
yeah,
and
please.
it kind of speaks to what you were just talking about. But yeah, there's a dear friend and wonderful composer, Michael A. Muller. I gave him a maquette. I made him a maquette, and he spent some time with it, and then he made some field recordings and I made some field recordings, and then he kind of composed this really beautiful piece that's kind of this it's just this kind of extra audio component that is not essential to the book, but if you want to kind of widen out things a little bit, yeah, it kind of talks to what you were just kind of speaking about. There's more of this it almost kind of like gives you a little bit more interior space to some of the boys in the book. It's funny because there's a link to it. There's a link to it in the back of the book in the colophon that I don't think people notice that it is, but it's just, I think it's Tucson. The web address is TucsonPagan.us. So I think a lot of people miss that. And maybe I should have been a little more explicit about that. It's a website,
but we will,
because it lives there.
We will put the link in the description of the video, so yeah, it can help.
Well, I think I talked to Michael a couple weeks ago, and I think he uploaded it to YouTube. And it's supposed to be, it got approved, but I think it takes a couple weeks. So it should be, maybe by the time this airs, it'll be available on YouTube as well.
And this is a good news. I don't know, like I'm not able to skip the images of this book. Like, also this one is really beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, with kind of houses in the book that are unable to be entered. Either blocked off by boards or, in some way. This one is just completely you're unable to access. There's there's a music video that I used to watch a lot when I was a kid. It's a song called "Rocket" by the Smashing Pumpkins, and I watched that a bunch of times whenever I was making this work. And so maybe some of the themes in that music video made it into this project. But I don't know if you've seen the music video, but it's about these kids that they live in the suburbs, and there's all these weird houses that they obviously can't get into the houses because they're super strange. So they just spend their days kind of outside, and they're building a rocket out of just like household materials that they're able to find around the neighborhood. And yeah, they get this strange message from the band from outer space. They get these strange transmissions. It's really cool. People should watch it. It's a really good, underloved music video.
And another link to put in the description of the video. Yeah. So we stop here for now because we are going to split this episode in 2 parts. And thank you so much. And watch the second part now. Ciao. Okay, and
we didn't make it very far. We got a lot more to go.